Chapter 8:20 When I'm Afraid of Holding Back. Zhu Yonk stared at Zhang Yi's eyes without retreating. She asked back, since you can bring your woman on board and let her enjoy the same treatment as you, then why can't I? So I demand that Sun Wanxi's living standard should be the same as mine. Zhang Yi stared at her and was silent for at least 4 or 5 seconds. Suddenly he asked, "Are you in a rebellious period?" What do you mean? I'm just making a legitimate request. Zhang Yi didn't say any more nonsense. Well, I agree to your request. Zhu Yonk and Sun Wanxi's eyes lit up immediately. The two looked at each other and couldn't help but jump for joy. Zhu Yonk thought to himself, no matter what, you still have to give me some face. Zhang Yi looked at the chef. From today on, lower Miss Zhu's food standard to the same standard as Sue's. In an instant, everyone present was dumbfounded. They were all shocked by Zhang Yi's tricks. Who is Zhu Yonk? She is the niece of the supreme commander of the Jiangnan region. Zhang Yi just lowered her food standard? Sun Wanxi was stunned. She thought her cry had been responded to and she could eat better food. In the future, she could make more requests through this loophole. Who would have thought that Zhang Yi would lower Zhu Yonk's food standard so that she would not be able to make requests? Zhu Yonk's eyes were as big as copper bells, and her right index finger pointed at Zhang Yi, and she couldn't speak for a long time. It seems that you are also very satisfied with this decision and have acquiesced. Well, starting from today, let's do it this way. Zhang Yi winked at Lao Tian and the chef, then turned around and left. Everyone on the boat was his people. Although they would take care of Zhu Yonk's face, they had to listen to Zhang Yi's words. They didn't like Sun Wanxi, who cried and made a fuss, so this was just right. Zhang Yi had just left the kitchen when he heard a shrill shout. Zhu Yonk was really broken. She even forgot the agreement with Zhang Yi not to reveal Zhang Yi's name outside. This action made Zhang Yi frown. Zhang Yi, stop right there. What do you mean by doing this? Zhu Yonk walked up to Zhang Yi regardless and glared at him angrily. Are you teasing me on purpose? Zhang Yi looked down at her without saying a word. But the lazy look in his eyes had disappeared. A terrible majesty appeared. He had killed countless people, so when he didn't pretend, the murderous intent would naturally be released. Zhu Yonk was originally angry, but this time it was like a basin of cold water poured over her head. She sobered up instantly, and the hair on her back stood up. Why are you so fierce? It was obviously you who was unreasonable first. Am I here to reason with you? Zhang Yi asked back. If you want to listen, listen. If you don't want to listen, get out of here. I won't tolerate your temper. If it wasn't for your uncle's face, do you think I wanted to hurt you? You are so powerful. Why don't you follow me in the first place? Go out to sea by yourself. Zhang Yi looked at her with disgust. Zhang Yi's voice was neither loud nor soft, but everyone could hear it. Zhu Yonk's face suddenly turned red. What Zhang Yi did was tantamount to slapping her in the face in front of everyone. Sun Wanxi was so scared that she lowered her head and said nothing. Zhang Yi said coldly, "Don't do it again. If you do it again, I will lock you in the house and will not allow you to come out until we return to land." Zhu Yonk knew what Zhang Yi was talking about. It is a taboo to expose his name outside. Fortunately, the people on Yanlu Island are isolated from the news and have not heard of his name as the god of killing in Jiangnan. Otherwise, Zhang Yi didn't know what means he would take to avoid the news of his going out to sea being exposed. It's my fault for calling you by your name, but you're also wrong. Zhu Yonk seemed to be frightened by Zhang Yi, and her tone became gentle. She began to try to reason with Zhang Yi. You can take Zhou Kur on board, but I asked an assistant to help me take care of the child, but you refused. Do you have a problem with me? Zhu Yonk raised her neck stubbornly and asked unconvinced. Zhang Yi sneered and asked back. So, what if I have a problem with you? Zhu Yonk. Zhang Yi said bluntly, your uncle Zhu Zheng has no problem with anyone I take on board. Why do you have so many problems? You are in menopause. What do you think our relationship is? Why should I spoil you? Because you are Zhu Zheng's niece. I'm sorry, if you continue to delay my mission here, according to the regulations of the region, I can take the initiative to deal with you. Zhu Yung was frightened by Zhang Yi's momentum. She really wanted to complain to Zhu Zheng and say that Zhang Yi bullied her. But thinking carefully, doing so would not only not cause Zhang Yi any loss, but would make Zhu Zheng scold her. Zhu Zheng is not a person who dotes on his juniors. Going to him to tell on her for such a small matter would only make Zhu Zheng criticize and teach her a lesson. Zhu Yung bit her lip and clenched her fists. She was a little scared in her heart, but on the surface, she refused to admit defeat completely. Haha, it turns out that you, the captain, are just a guy who abuses your power for personal gain. You just have a problem with me and Sun Wanqi, so you took the opportunity to retaliate against us. Even if you don't agree with my request, why do you have to tease me in a weird way? Do you think this is fun? Zhang Yi was amused by her. Haha, using public power for personal gain? Do you think I have nothing to do? The 148 people on the third floor of the Jin Feng are on my shoulders. He questioned, do you think these people on the ship are so obedient? They will not be grateful for us rescuing them. Even if they have such thoughts for a short time, they will think that it is natural for the authorities to rescue them later. Then they will start to be picky and then they will ask for more benefits. Today you opened a loophole here, allowing the little girl surnamed Su to live in the upper cabin and give her good living conditions. Then what's the next step? Do you have to take care of her other needs and do everything according to your standards? When other people see this, can they not have thoughts in their hearts? I don't care about others. Just say Li Zhongyu and his wife. They are the main rescue targets of our operation. They have been living in the middle floor. What if they also make demands? What if they make trouble? Zhang Yi narrowed his eyes. I am very afraid of such a result. Do you understand? After Zhang Yi's explanation, Zhu Yung slowly realized the seriousness of the problem. It is not the scarcity that is worrying, but the inequality. It may not be reflected at the beginning, but injustice will accumulate and cause big problems. I didn't think so much. I just wanted to find a companion for myself. I didn't want to cause you any trouble. Zhang Yi sneered. It's not easy, you can understand. Otherwise, I'm really afraid that this ship will be in chaos. Afraid? Zhu Yung looked at Zhang Yi in surprise. Are you afraid too? He is a famous god of war. After the battle between Eclipse Moon and the Samsara Squad, he became a hero in the entire Blizzard City, and his reputation once surpassed Deng Shintong and Gao Chongkong at the time. Is he afraid too? Zhang Yi nodded. A touch of coldness flashed across his eyes. I'm afraid that killing so many people will dirty my ship. It will be troublesome to clean it up. He looked at Zhu Yung, his voice without any emotion. I am very picky about my living environment. If the smell of blood is too strong, it will affect my sleep quality. Zhu Yung suddenly felt creepy. From Zhang Yi's eyes, she saw that Zhang Yi was not joking. If the people on the boat make him feel troubled, he will really kill them without mercy. Chapter 8:22 Gratitude. Zhang Yi persuaded Zhu Yung to understand how much trouble her actions might bring. Although she was somewhat dissatisfied with Zhang Yi's attitude, she was not a completely brainless, naive person. After all, she was born in such a family and had some knowledge. So she said, well, let Sun Wanqi eat with the crew. I won't treat her specially in the future. Zhang Yi smiled and said, how can that be possible? His face became serious, and he pointed at Zhu Yung and said, she is not qualified to eat the crew meal. Go back downstairs when you eat in the future. Of course, if you don't mind eating less, you can give her some. But as a punishment, your food supply must be in accordance with the standards of the Yenlu group within a week. Zhang Yi was not so easy to talk to, unless it was to his family. As for outsiders, he would not listen to soft words. But Zhu Yung's attitude would not change if she gave in. Zhu Yung said angrily, okay. Let's do as you say, okay? She was not angry about Zhang Yi's behavior, but his attitude toward her. At this rate, the task that Zhu Zheng assigned to her would be far away. She was also very melancholy in her heart. Why was it so difficult for her to take down a warehouse manager with her charm? Zhu Yung returned to the cabin, and Sun Wanqi was still expecting her to fight for some legitimate power for herself. However, Zhu Yung told her Zhang Yi's decision. Now is a critical moment. You have to bear with it for a while. After we get ashore, I can take you to the headquarters of Jang district and arrange a decent job for you," Zhu Yong said lightly. Soon Wanqi's face changed. Zhu Yong raised an eyebrow. "Why, are you dissatisfied?" Soon Wanqi shook her head quickly and said, "How could it be? I know that you are the best senior sister. I am really sorry for causing you trouble this time." She looked aggrieved. "After all, I didn't expect that Zhang would be so disrespectful to you. Anyway, you are also the niece of the Supreme Commander of Jiangnan District, and he is just an officer below." Soon Wanqi's eyes flashed with contempt. He's so disrespectful to you. I don't think he'll be able to rise up in the future." She still thought the outside world was the same as before. Zhu Yong said helplessly, "The outside world has changed a long time ago, and many things are different from the past. Including the set of rules, you know." Soon Wanqi asked doubtfully, "No matter how it changes, shouldn't subordinates do their best to please their leaders and their families?" In the system of Huashu country, the top leader has always had absolute power. This is impossible to change. Zhu Yong didn't know how to explain to her. After all, these people in the Yenlu group have been isolated from the world for too long. They don't even know what the existence of a top alien means in the outside world. In some small countries, people of Zhang Yi's level are like gods. Even the top leaders of the 6 major regions have to try their best to win him over. It can be seen from Zhu Zheng's attitude towards Zhang Yi, which is more polite than his own son. "Anyway, just listen to me. Stay with me and help me take care of Tommy. I won't let you suffer any injustice." Soon Wanqi put on a smiling face. "Good sister, there is nothing wrong for me. I just speak up for you, afraid that you will be bullied by others." As they are all in the same circle, Zhu Yong can naturally see Soon Wanqi's little trick of fanning the flames. But there are some truths, even if you understand them in your heart, you may not be able to do them clearly. Zhu Yong's dissatisfaction with Zhang Yi still exists in her heart, and it is constantly expanding. In a blink of an eye, a week has passed since leaving Yenlu Island. The order on the Jinfeng is relatively stable, and there are no conflicts. Zhang Yi either practices calligraphy with Zhou Kur in the room every day, or observes the order in the cabin to prevent any uneasy behavior from the people below. Among them, most people can be content with the status quo and are satisfied with the current state of being well-fed and warm. However, there are always some people who have evil thoughts. The Yenlu group has an 8-person room, with 4 standard bunk beds and a small table for eating in the middle. Li Zhongyu and his wife naturally received special treatment. They could live in a separate room. But others did not receive such good treatment. At noon that day, when it was time for lunch, the chef Xie Changming came over, opened the hatch of the middle level, and shouted, "Come and get some food." Someone immediately came over from each room to collect the food. The food standard for the middle level was pretty good. At least they could get some protein supplements every day, and they could have a relatively hearty meal of meat every 3 days. Usually, they mainly relied on canned soy products and rice and noodles. Xie Changming's attitude towards them was lukewarm, a bit like a pig farmer. Former Silla official Che Haicheng came over with a smile on his face, with a flattering look on his face. "Thank you for your gift. We are very grateful to you." Every time he came to collect food, he would flatter Xie Changming and flatter him. The words were already familiar to him. When Xie Changming saw Che Haicheng, a rare smile appeared on his face. "I have taken care of the amount of your room. You should be grateful." When Che Haicheng heard this, his face changed slightly, and then his smile became brighter. He bowed 90 degrees. "Yes, your great kindness. I will never forget it." Xie Changming put down the spoon in his hand and followed him to the middle cabin. Seeing this, the other crew members who were eating next to him just smiled jokingly. After arriving at the middle cabin, Che Haicheng walked to the door of their room and happened to meet his wife, Jin Jimei. Che Haicheng, who used to be a senior official in Silla, was amazing in terms of power and money. And the women around him have always been the best. Jin Jimei is his 9th wife, 32 years old, and a former member of Silla's top girl group. Although she has experienced half a year of life on Yenlu Island, she has become a lot more haggard and has dark circles under her eyes. But these still can't hide her charm, especially her beautiful figure, which is easy to make people think. Xia Changming leaned against the cabin door and whistled at her. Che Haiqing quickly winked at Jean Jimei. Jean Jimei understood, walked over with a flattering smile, skillfully took Xia Changming's arm, and then the two went to Xia Changming's bedroom. After each session, she could get a generous reward from Xia Changming. Che Haiqing not only had no complaints about this, but even got extra food because of his wife's help. His status in the room became higher, and he became a small leader who was responsible for receiving and distributing food. Chapter 8:23 All Talents. As soon as Che Haiqing entered the room, everyone in the same room looked at him with a smile. Xia Yunfan, a Colombian Chinese who wore cracked gold-rimmed glasses and was a senior executive of a large group, said with a smile, "Che Haiqing, you ask your wife to accompany the cook again?" Che Haiqing smiled disapprovingly. He raised his eyebrows, and there was even a proud look on his face. "You are envious." Xia Yunfan snorted coldly. "I don't have such a poor interest." Che Haiqing laughed, put the food on the table, and then distributed the food to everyone's lunchbox. In the room, Lu Nanxing, a Mediterranean uncle in his 50s, smiled and said, "I admire Mr. Che's mentality. A real man can bend and stretch so that he can achieve a career." Xia Yunfan frowned, very disgusted with the words of the two. He picked up the rice bowl, but how is this different from pigs and dogs? Relying on selling women's humiliation in exchange for benefits is really disgusting. Che Haiqing laughed and looked at him teasingly. This doesn't sound like the words of a man who got rich by seducing a rich Colombian woman with sex appeal and then dividing the family property through fraudulent marriage. Xia Yunfan's face changed. Nonsense. How can that be called cheating? It's the work of scholars. Schemes, then schemes. The whole room was suddenly filled with happy laughter. Everyone came to receive food, and mocking each other has become their daily way of having fun. "Hey, Mr. Che. Since you are so generous, why don't you help your brothers in need?" A man with a brown beard came over and said to Che Haiqing with a smile. His name is Rudolph, and he is from southern Prussia. Although he looks a bit rough, he has a pair of very delicate hands. Che Haiqing didn't take it as an offense at all, but grinned and said, "It depends on what price you can offer." Rudolph turned his hand into his pocket and immediately took out a gold Rolex watch. Che Haiqing shook his head. "This thing is meaningless to me. You have to give me something really good." Rudolph said bitterly, "Damn it, as a professional pickpocket, I only steal valuable property. But now they are all useless garbage." He angrily threw the solid gold watch to the ground, then stepped on it with his big feet, crushing the glass into pieces. Che Haiqing looked contemptuous. Jean Jimei is now my important material, and I still have to rely on her to curry favor with the masters on the ship. You guys don't even think about touching her. Hey, you guys are too mean. After all, we have been through hardships together. Before, I only needed a bird's leg to spend a whole night. The two people quarreled, but some people were particularly quiet. A Western man with long curly hair and a big beard, with a somewhat melancholy expression, walked over, silently picked up the broken watch, and actually studied his dial carefully. Meanwhile, Li Zongyu's colleague, a Colombian named by Mo, leaned against the porthole and stared blankly at the icy sea that looked like a huge dead water. Why don't they respond to me? I don't want to go to a foreign country. To Lisa, is she still waiting for me in her hometown? Are she and her children okay? Bai Mo thought of his wife and daughter, who were far away in the other direction of the ocean. They are his greatest belief in persisting in living until now. In half a year, he had asked for help from Colombia countless times. He used all the ways he could find, whether it was Colombia or the Colombian Oceanic Force stationed on Ropefly Island. But these requests for help were like a stone sinking into the sea, and there was no news. After waiting for half a year, he didn't expect that what he was waiting for was the rescue ship of Huashu country. If he really set foot on that land, he would come to the farthest place from his hometown on this planet. In such a doomsday, he didn't know if he would have a chance to return to his hometown again. Hey, Bayamo, what are you worried about? Rudolph and Che Haiching argued for a long time, but didn't get what they wanted. He had to come over and chat with the melancholy young man by Mo. By Mo glanced at him and said melancholy, "I wonder if we still have a chance to return to our hometowns." This sentence made some people in the room fall into deep thought. Man turned his head and looked at him deeply, but said nothing. But Rudolph shrugged indifferently. "No matter where I go, as long as there are girls and good wine, I can accept it." Xia Yunfan leaned against the wall with a frown. "But I don't like staying in that country." Che Haiching glanced at him. "Xia, didn't you grow up in that country?" Xia Yunfan sat up straight with some displeasure, staring at him, and said, "That doesn't matter. The problem is that I am now a Colombian citizen." Che Haiching sneered disdainfully. "Even by Mo, a legitimate Colombian citizen, couldn't be rescued. You should have given up long ago, right? You seem to be more loyal than the native people. But unfortunately, at this time, no matter where you are at the bottom. So don't have any extra fantasies." Xia Yunfan was like a cock with its feathers standing on end. "He was anxious at that time," he argued. "What do you know?" He stammered, saying something like freedom and power. The room was filled with happy laughter. But without Xia Yunfan, they still lived the same way. Che Haiching took out an egg from his pocket, grinned, then quickly peeled it and tasted it slowly. Others, naturally, did not have such treatment. And some people deliberately made disdainful sounds, but in fact they were very envious in their hearts. But they did not have a beautiful wife like Che Haiching who could exchange food for them. So they had to use this method to act as if they were very upright. After a while, Jean Jime came back from the cabin above. Che Haiching hurriedly went up to him, glanced at the others carefully, and asked her, "How about it? What good things did I give you this time?" Jean Jime smiled proudly, then took out a diamond ring the size of a pigeon egg from her pocket and showed it to him happily. "Look, diamond ring, such a big diamond ring." Che Haiching's eyes widened quickly, and he froze on the spot. Are you kidding me?" he said with a fake smile. Jean Jime curled her lips, and while admiring her big diamond ring with satisfaction, she said nonchalantly, "What a joke. The diamond ring people gave me is so big, and you have never bought me such a big one." Che Haiching was anxious, and lowered his voice and shouted, "You stupid woman. At this time, diamonds are worth less than dirt. What's the point of having it?" Chapter 8:24 Fin Dragon. Che Haiching was furious and scolded Jean Jime severely. Jean Jime was also angry. "Hey, what are you talking about? This diamond is very expensive, right?" She didn't understand why Che Haiching was crazy. Such a big and beautiful diamond. Just a company Xia Changming wants to get it. She was so happy. Che Haiching took a deep breath and then closed his eyes tightly. He silently said in his heart, "Don't be angry. Don't be angry. She is a stupid woman with only money in her eyes." After calming down for a long time, he stared at Jean Jime, pointed at her nose and said, "Next time, ask for supplies for me. White sugar, milk, cigarettes, eggs. It's all right. Just don't ask me for these useless jewelry. After the end of the world, these things have become waste. Only a vain woman like Jean Jime would like them." Jean Jime tightened her clothes in fear. I know. The fear of Che Haiching has been deeply engraved in her bones. At least now, she has not thought about resisting. The upper deck of the cabin. Zhang Yi suddenly felt a sense of being spied on. It was already night. He looked out through the window, but the night was so dark that he could not see anything. There was nothing on the sea except the endless darkness. The cold moonlight was blurred and invisible. Through the thick clouds, only the afterimage was left, and it was even more difficult to reflect the sea surface. Zhang Yi frowned. Since he awakened the ability of time echo, his intuition has become more and more acute, especially for the insight into danger. This awareness made him vaguely feel that there was something dangerous in the sea, spying on them. Is it the sea monster that I injured? Zhang Yi named the sea monster Fin Dragon, because its back was covered with dorsal fins that were larger than those of sharks. It may also be a psychological effect. Zhang Yi thought about it and decided to get up and go to the control room to take a look. He opened the door and quickly came outside, walking along the corridor to the control room of the Jinfeng. Did you find anything abnormal? Zhang Yi asked. There are people on duty in the control room 24 hours a day. Old Tian was also there at this time. Hearing this, he hurried to the radar and said to Zhang Yi, no unusual ships or creatures were found nearby. It was just half an hour ago that a few sharks passed by nearby. Zhang Yi immediately asked, sharks? Are they big? Old Tian said, according to the radar, they're just some ordinary sharks more than 5 meters long. As long as giant creatures like fin dragons appear in the surrounding sea area, the radar will definitely be able to detect them. What is the detection range? Zhang Yi asked. Old Tian replied, underwater. The range of 200 meters can detect the movement of creatures within 10 nautical miles. If it is a ship on the water, as long as it is not a military ship with stealth function, it can be detected within 50 nautical miles. Zhang Yi smiled and shook his head. If it really appears in the sea area, it probably won't be a civilian ship. Okay, we have to be more careful on the way back. Send another person on duty at night. Old Tian said, yes. Zhang Yi turned around and was about to leave, but Old Tian stopped him. Mr. Zhang, I have one more thing to report to you. Zhang Yi glanced at him. What's the matter? Go ahead. Lao Tian said, it's Lao Xia in the kitchen. Lao Tian told Zhang Yi in detail. It turned out that the number of people on the ship increased. There were more than 100 people eating, but only Lao Xia was busy. Although most of the food was pre-prepared and only needed to be heated before eating. But it still needed to be processed, and the workload was very large. In recent days, Lao Xia's health has begun to deteriorate. Today, he came to Lao Tian and said that he had a backache and hoped to add a helper to him. However, the number of crew members is limited. Everyone has their own work and no one can spare a hand. So Lao Tian told Zhang Yi that he hoped to find someone from the middle and lower cabins to help. They open their mouths every day and only know how to eat. It's time for them to participate in labor. Cook and eat by themselves. Zhang Yi looked at Lao Tian with a playful look and smiled. How did his health deteriorate? Do you really think I don't know? As soon as this was said, everyone in the control room couldn't help laughing. There were surveillance cameras installed everywhere on the ship, and Zhang Yi would check them frequently to avoid potential safety hazards. Except for the bathroom and bedroom, which he did not monitor due to Zhu Yang's strong request, he basically knew what happened in other places. The crew on the ship had been sailing on the sea for too long, so they naturally had their needs. Among the passengers on board, there was no shortage of women who were willing to exchange themselves for supplies. Zhang Yi also understood them, so he did not prohibit this. Lao Tian hee. I'm sorry to make you laugh. If you let them cook, can the food safety be guaranteed? You must consider this carefully. If someone wants to do something, they may accidentally poison everyone on the ship. Zhang Yi is very cautious. The food and drinking water he eats are all brought by himself, not with others. So, even if there is a problem, it is the other people on the ship. However, as the captain, he still has to remind Lao Tian. Lao Tian nodded and said seriously, I will let Lao Xia supervise them carefully. Moreover, even if you want to poison, you must have raw materials, right? Toxins are not so easy to get. The people on the ship have been checked and have no weapons or abnormal drugs on them. After living on the island for more than half a year, they are so poor that they are almost left with only their pants. Zhang Yi also understands Lao Xia's difficulties and nodded and said, you can arrange this matter yourself and find a few trustworthy people. Lao Tian smiled and said, yes. Zhang Yi left the control room and came to the deck. The Jinfeng slowly moved forward on the ice sea. In order to save time and avoid accidents on the ocean, the ship traveled day and night. The cold ocean, with just a slight rise and fall, would cause huge waves in the eyes of humans, causing the ship to sway up and down. This easily makes people feel fearful, fearing that a huge wave would come down and overturn the ship. Zhang Yi walked on the swaying deck as if walking on flat ground. He had become more and more proficient in the control of the power of space. Woo! Suddenly, a distant whistle came from his ears. Zhang Yi frowned and quickly looked in the direction of the sound. The night wind was blowing fiercely, and it was unknown whether the sound was from the sea breeze or from some mysterious sea beast. Zhang Yi narrowed his eyes slightly. Is that guy following? Zhang Yi witnessed the power of the huge fin dragon with his own eyes, which was extremely powerful. If he were on land and encountered such a monster, Zhang Yi would not be afraid. He had a clear understanding of his own power. However, this is the sea, not the domain of humans. If it accidentally destroyed the Jinfeng, everyone on the ship except Zhang Yi and Zhou Ke might die. This is not the result Zhang Yi wants to see. Chapter 8:25 Lu Zhengnan Ad 1. In the following time, Zhang Yi strengthened the alertness of the entire ship. His attention was focused on the vast icy sea. Because he always had a premonition that the sea monster that he had seriously injured at the beginning, the fin dragon, would definitely not let them go easily. Any creature will bear grudges, especially the powerful ones. The fin dragon must be hiding somewhere in the depths of the ocean, waiting for the opportunity to attack them. The reason why it did not move at this time was because it was afraid of Zhang Yi's strength and did not dare to confront them head-on. However, once the Jinfeng had any accidents on the sea, or Zhang Yi had any abnormal conditions, it might rush out from the 10,000-meter deep sea. With its huge size and amazing strength, it only needs one blow to overturn the Jinfeng. At that time, the more than 100 people on the whole ship, except Zhang Yi and Zhou Ke, would probably die. Zhang Yi had no better way to deal with this. The weapons equipped on the ship lacked heavy firearms. There were only some depth charges and shipborne machine guns. But it was obviously too difficult for these things to cause heavy damage to that kind of monster. Although there are still heavy artillery in his space, it is extremely difficult to use land artillery on board. After all, it is troublesome to stabilize the land artillery on the vast ocean, not to mention shooting under the huge recoil. However, Zhang Yi and his team are not in an absolute disadvantage. Zhang Yi's own existence and advanced radar system are the best means of defense. As long as the fin dragon approaches a certain range, it will be discovered by the people on the ship. Zhang Yi can prepare in advance. Now, Zhang Yi, whose ability index has reached 9,600 points, can protect himself even if he really encounters an Epsilon-level alien at the beginner level. Not to mention just encountering a sea monster with an ability index of 9,000 plus. If it weren't at sea, he could easily kill the sea monster. It's a pity that the inability to dive is Zhang Yi's biggest shortcoming at present. Speed up. I hope there won't be any problems on the way back. Zhang Yi prayed secretly in his heart. On the other side, after getting Zhang Yi's permission, Chef Xie Changming came to the cabin below to choose his assistant. Finally, he found a good helper, Lu Zhengnan from the Yanlu group. Lu Zhengnan claimed to be a chef. After being tested by Xie Changming, it was found that he was indeed a good cook. According to the people from the Yanlu group, he was responsible for cooking for the team when he was on the island. In addition, Lu Zhengnan spoke well and was very good at pleasing Xie Changming and other crew members, so he soon became friends with the people on the ship. Zhang Yi has been keeping an eye on the things in the ice sea for some time, guarding against the appearance of fin dragons or other mutant sea monsters. Fortunately, after the previous lessons, others did not dare to come to him to cause trouble. Zhu Yang has been much more low-key, and occasionally comes to deliberately get closer to Zhang Yi. But Zhang Yi has never liked this kind of self-righteous lady, and just dealt with it coldly. This gave Zhu Yang a headache. However, Sun Wanqi, the little follower beside her, has always been not very good to Zhang Yi. She didn't dare to say anything bad, but the look in her eyes when she looked at Zhang Yi was very wrong. Maybe she still thought that she was the child of a high-ranking official, so she looked down on Zhang Yi, the head of the rescue team. Zhang Yi was too lazy to bother with her. As long as others didn't come to commit suicide, he had no time to waste time with them. Ensuring the completion of the rescue mission is his most concerned thing at the moment. And he also contacted Zhu Zheng several times. As long as their ship arrived near the waters of Huaxi State, there would be warships to greet them. This morning, The crew in the control room were still carefully controlling the ship to move forward and carefully scanning the surroundings through radar. In the kitchen, it was already busy. Xia Changming sat very leisurely on the sofa chair, smoking a black box Huangshan in his mouth and playing with several crew members with playing cards. This cigarette is very precious. Of course, he didn't get it himself, but Zhang Yi gave it. On the ship, except for alcohol, Zhang Yi prepared food, cigarettes, and even isolation bags for offspring for them. It is to avoid psychological problems in the crew during the long voyage and affect the execution of the mission. So now, every crew member is loyal to Zhang Yi from the bottom of their hearts, not only out of fear of his strength, but also out of love for this good captain who cares about his subordinates. As for the work in the kitchen, it naturally fell on Lu Zhengnan alone. It was not easy to prepare meals for more than 100 people, but fortunately the main focus was on steaming rice and heating pre-prepared dishes, so the rest was much easier. Lu Zhengnan was in his 50s and a short Mediterranean man. He was sweating profusely from the work, but he did not dare to slack off. Xia Changming plated too, and then dusted off the ash. On his wrist was a golden Patek Philippe worth millions. This watch was given to him by Lu Zhengnan as a gift. Old Lu, you don't look like a hard-working person, but I didn't expect you to be so good at cooking. Xia Changming won today. After smoking a dozen cigarettes, he was in a good mood. Looking at the busy Lu Zhengnan, he chatted with him casually. Lu Zhengnan wiped the sweat from his forehead, nodded, and said, "Our family used to run a catering business, so we must be familiar with these jobs. Otherwise, how can we manage them?" Xia Changming and other crew members naturally knew that the people on Yanlu Island, especially the Huashu nationals or overseas Chinese, had extraordinary identities. At least they had to be middle class or above. Xia Changming teased, "Looking at your delicate skin and tender flesh, you should be a big boss." Lu Zhengnan skillfully opened the steamer, tore open a bag of pre-prepared dishes, and poured them on the plate. "What big boss? It's just that I have a few restaurants at home, and I make a living." "Thank you. Just tell me what you want. You're welcome." Xia Changming smiled, and several crew members also smiled disapprovingly. Of course, they would not be polite to Lu Zhengnan. All the people on the ship were rescued by them. According to Zhang Yi, except for Li Zhongyu and his wife, everyone else will be sent to various bases in Tianhai City to serve as the labor force in the future. Therefore, there is no need to be polite when using them. At this time, Zhang Yi was strolling on the deck, and after smelling the fragrance of the food, he walked over to take a look. Seeing this, several crew members hurriedly threw down the cards in their hands and stood up. "Mr. Zhang." Zhang Yi smiled and said, "You are in a good mood. It's okay, you guys continue to play. I just smelled the fragrance and came to take a look." "You're right. The aroma of this pre-prepared dish is quite strong, and I'm a little greedy when I smell it." Zhang Yi rarely comes to the kitchen, so he walked in and took a casual look. There was steam rising inside, and it was very warm. Lu Zhengnan hurried over, wiping his hands with his apron and nodding and bowing to please Zhang Yi. "Hello, Mr. Zhang. Is there anything you want to eat? Just tell me. I'll arrange it for you right away." Chapter 8:26 Yamada Masana. Zhang Yi smiled. He would not eat the pre-prepared dishes here. It was not that he was picky, but there were so many delicious dishes in his space that there was no need to eat this kind of stuff. Even the rich aroma of the dishes, I don't know how much technology and hard work have been added. Zhang Yi wanted to leave, but when he saw Lu Zhengnan's flattering face, he didn't know why he always felt familiar. He didn't think much about it at first, but his eyes inadvertently caught a glimpse of the large pile of pre-prepared dishes in the steamer. In an instant, some memories in Zhang Yi's mind emerged. He smiled and asked, "What's your name?" Lu Zhengnan was stunned for a moment, not knowing why Zhang Yi asked the name of this little guy on the ship. "My name is Lu Zhengnan. I'm just a cook." Zhang Yi frowned slightly. "Lu Zhengnan's? Where was your hometown before? I see you are very skilled in cooking. What cuisine are you good at?" When asked about this topic, Lu Zhengnan suddenly hesitated. After several seconds, he replied, "My hometown is in that Guangdong. I can cook some Cantonese food." Then say a few words in Cantonese. Lu Zhengnan swallowed his saliva, and cold sweat broke out on his forehead. Steel pot, crying with tears to repair the pot. The smile on Zhang Yi's mouth slowly widened, but the smile was very cold, as if he was looking at a prey in a playful way. You don't seem to be from Guangdong. No, I should say you don't seem to be from Huaxiu. At this time, the 4 crew members around also realized that something was wrong. Captain, is there something wrong with this person's identity? Xia Changming hurried over and kicked Lu Zhengnan to the ground. MD, old man, who are you? How dare you pretend to be Chinese? Lu Zhengnan endured the pain in his stomach and denied it flatly. I am indeed Chinese, but I've been away from my hometown for too long, and my hometown dialect is not very good. Zhang Yi stared at him, squinting his eyes, and said, but your Mandarin is very good. Lu Zhengnan wanted to explain something. Zhang Yi interrupted him coldly. Don't pretend with me, President Yamada. At this time, Zhang Yi had completely remembered who the person in front of him was. The president of Japanese Yamada Company, Limited, Yamada Masano. Yamada Company, Limited had a branch in Tianhai City, and their warehouse was not far from where Zhang Yi worked. Some Japanese companies have such a habit that they will print the president's portrait on products or transport vehicles. That's why Zhang Yi felt that Yamada Masano looked familiar. Several crew members around heard this, and suddenly their eyes were filled with anger. Japanese. You Timdi, you dare to pretend to be a Huaxiu countryman, you dog. Go to hell. Several people rushed up and punched and kicked Yamada Masano, mercilessly hitting him in the hardest places. Yamada Masano screamed in pain. Stop fighting, stop fighting. I am a spiritual Huaxiu countryman. My great-grandfather is from Guangdong East, and I have Huaxiu country blood. But these words only brought Zhang Yi's sneer and the crew's curse. You bastard, you are also a bastard, so you deserve to die. The hostility of the people in the Jiangnan region towards the Neon people is unprecedentedly high at this time. Because not long ago, the Ronin landed and killed people in 7 or 8 cities in Jiangnan. The number of deaths directly and indirectly caused reached tens of thousands. Today, in the Jiangnan region, no one is not gritting their teeth when the word neon is mentioned. Zhang Yi sat in a chair, closed his eyes quietly, and admired the wailing of Yamada Masami. He thought the sound was wonderful. Although he killed Eclipse Moon at the beginning, just killing a dozen Eclipse Moon members did not make him feel refreshed. Why can they run to the land of Jiangnan and kill so many people from Huaxiu country, but Zhang Yi and others can only kill a dozen culprits? This matter is not fair, and it can't be ended so easily. Now that the old man Yamada Masano appeared on his ship, the result was naturally predictable. Among the 4 crew members, Xia Changming beat the most severely. Because he was the one who selected the people, he had to show his attitude. Otherwise it might cause Zhang Yi's dissatisfaction with him. Yamada Masano was still quibbling at first, claiming that he was not a Japanese, but soon 8 of his teeth were knocked out, and he was in so much pain that he couldn't speak. The floor was full of blood, and Yamada Masano had only room to breathe. Xia Changming picked up a boning knife from the chopping board and was about to kill him. Zhang Yi stopped him. What do you want to do? Xia Changming was stunned for a moment, and then said angrily, Of course I stab him to death. What's the point of keeping this kind of dog thing? Zhang Yi looked at the knife in his hand. That's a tool for cooking, don't use it to kill pigs. Yamada Masano's eyes flashed with hope, and he looked at Zhang Yi pleadingly. Zhang Yi smiled cruelly. Besides, isn't it too cheap to die like this? Yamada Masano's body trembled violently. He didn't know what Zhang Yi was going to do to him. Although I am a Japanese, I have never harmed any Huaxiu people. Yamada Masano cried bitterly. Zhang Yi turned a deaf ear to him. He looked out the window. The vast icy sea was freezing cold. Throw it down to feed the sharks. At this temperature, it would freeze into ice in a few seconds if thrown into the sea. It is clean and hygienic, which is a great choice. After receiving Zhang Yi's instructions, several crew members immediately picked up Yamada Masano like a dead pig and dragged him to the deck. But as soon as they went out, they saw Sun Wanshi and Zhu Yonk rushing over and blocking their way. Zhu Yonk saw the miserable state of Yamada Masana and his pupils shrank. What are you doing? Why do you treat an innocent person like this? And soon Wanshi cried and shouted, Teacher Yamada? Then he rushed to Yamada Masanobu, crying out of heartache. Xia Changming was helpless. Miss Zhu, this guy is a Japanese. The captain asked us to throw him into the sea to feed the sharks. Zhu Yonk had a cold face, and anger was burning in his eyes. You are simply doing this like a devil. Zhang Yi came out of the kitchen, and when he saw Zhu Yonk and Sun Wenqi, he realized that Yamada Masanobu's screams like a pig being slaughtered were too loud and attracted other people. However, he didn't care. Zhang Yi's nonchalant look annoyed Zhu Yonk and Sun Wenqi. Sun Wenqi cried and pointed at Zhang Yi and scolded. Mr. Zhang, you are too cruel. Teacher Yamada has been helping us cook, and he helped us prepare food on Yanlu Island. And he is like my father, caring for me in every possible way. How can you be so indiscriminate and do such a cruel thing to him? You are not a human being. You are a beast. Chapter 8:27 You don't understand the cruelty of the end of the world. Sun Wenqi was extremely angry. She couldn't tolerate Zhang Yi treating the person she admired like this. Zhang Yi glanced at her. Slap her face. He didn't have any extra words to say to such a woman. A crew member received the order and immediately walked over and slapped Sun Wenqi's face hard. It directly hit half of her delicate little face and bulged high, and several teeth fell out. Zhu Yonk's face changed, and she raised her voice and said, Mr. Zhang, you are too much. She stared at Zhang Yi, clenched her fists, and took a deep breath. I can understand your feelings. Even if he is a Japanese, you shouldn't treat him like this. Every wrong has its perpetrator, and every debt has its creditor. Not every Japanese is a bad person. What's the difference between you doing this and those vicious Ronin? The noise here was too loud, and soon attracted other people on the ship. Among them were the rock flow group in the middle layer and the Huashu people and expatriates in the lower cabin. They didn't know what happened. They only saw Yamada Zhengnan beaten like a dead dog, covered in blood, and his face was covered in bruises. The petite and pitiful Sun Wenqi was knocked to the ground, crying miserably. Suddenly, everyone stared at Zhang Yi with strange eyes. Although they were afraid of Zhang Yi's power and the gun in his hand. But as residents of the lower and middle levels of the cabin, they instinctively believed that Zhang Yi was a bad guy. People always follow their butts. Before Zhang Yi had time to talk to Zhu Yonk, Li Zhongyu, the leader of the Yanlu group, came over angrily. His expression was as forbearing as possible, but he couldn't suppress the anger in his eyes. He stood in front of Zhang Yi and blocked between Zhang Yi and Sun Wenqi. Mr. Zhang, you promised me that you would protect the lives and safety of everyone in our team. I hope you can give us a reasonable explanation for this matter. With Li Zhongyu's lead, the residents of the lower and middle levels also became bolder. Yes, how can you hit someone casually? You almost beat him to death. Xia Yunfan of the Yanlu group shouted. Bai Mo made a cross on his chest. Oh my god, this is too cruel. He is so old he will die. Hearing this, everyone looked at Yamada Masami with more compassion and looked at Zhang Yi with more resentment. Li Zhongyu's girlfriend Zhang Weiwei is a surgeon. She bravely walked over to check Yamada Masami's injuries. Zhang Yi put his hands in his pockets and looked around. From Zhu Yonk to below, everyone on the boat showed some hostility towards him. This made Zhang Yi feel a little funny. I just want to throw him into the sea. Is there any problem? Zhang Yi asked everyone openly. Li Zhongyu was a little unbelievable and asked back. Just because he is a Japanese, you treat him like this? Mr. Zhang, what era is this? How can you still have such racial discrimination ideas? This is terrible. Zhou Kur walked to Zhang Yi's side and supported him silently. For Zhang Yi, other attitudes are not important at all. On this ship, he has never cared about anyone other than Zhou Kur. That's right, just because he is a Japanese. So today he must get off my boat. He smiled and spread his hands. Hey, don't look at me with such strange eyes. Isn't my reason sufficient? Of course not. Soon once she struggled to get up from the ground, pointing at Zhang Yi and accusing him with tears. Your thoughts are simply terrible. Killing a person because of his nationality is more terrible than the devil. Bai Mo and others are also foreigners, and there are real foreigners. They are worried. If Zhang Yi kills Yamada Masami with this excuse, what should they do? How can their lives be protected? Zhang Yi pointed at Sun Wanqi's nose, but his eyes looked at Li Zhongyu, Zhang Weiwei, and others. It seems that everyone has been very happy on Yanlu Island in the past 6 months. You are so thoughtful about the life and death of others. Really good. Zhang Weiwei frowned. She felt that Zhang Yi was just being sarcastic. So she raised her head and said to Zhang Yi righteously, "Please don't mock us in this tone. We're not having an easy life. Of course, we thank you for taking us back to Huaxi country. But this is not a reason for you to kill people at will." Others nodded in agreement, supporting Zhang Weiwei's point of view. Zhang Yi laughed. "Do you think I am being sarcastic and joking with you?" Zhang Weiwei did not respond, but her silence expressed her attitude. Tisk. Zhang Yi laughed disdainfully. "So, you don't know anything at all. You are just bragging to me here." He glanced at Lao Tian and suddenly shouted loudly, "Lao Tian, tell them what has happened in the land of Jiangnan district in the past 6 months." Old Tian shouted, "Yes." He walked up to the crowd, glanced at the group of dignitaries with cold eyes, and then said loudly, "In the past 6 months, the death toll in the entire Jiangnan region has reached 190 million. The death rate is 92.79%. The death toll in Tianhai City is more than 20 million, and there are less than 20,000 survivors." These data shocked everyone on the scene. After they got on the ship, Zhang Yi and the crew did not communicate with them. So no one knew what the world outside was like. However, after listening to what old Tian said, they actually felt a chill on their backs. The world outside is even more cruel than Yanlu Island. Xie Yunfan argued. But what does the death caused by natural disasters have to do with your indiscriminate killing of innocent people? Old Tian glanced at him coldly, and the murderous intent in his eyes made Xie Yunfan take 2 steps back. Among these people who died, 20% died indirectly from the Doomsday disaster and directly from human hands. He took a deep breath. In July this year, Neon's wanderers began to land in Linhai City. In less than 10 days, they slaughtered more than 3,000 residents in Linhai City. Later, they ran rampant in 8 cities including Jiangning, Huazhou, and Weining. The number of direct and indirect deaths due to them reached more than 20,000. As soon as these words came out, the attitudes of some Huaxi people at the scene changed suddenly. There was a raging fire in their eyes. The national hatred and family feud with Neon can be said to be a feud for generations. As history fades away, the memories of the past have long been blurred in the hearts of many people. No one is willing to live a lifetime with hatred. But who would have thought that those bastards with unrepentant hearts would once again launch an attack on Huaxi country? And it caused the tragic deaths of tens of thousands of compatriots. Damn little Neon, damn it. These people are simply beasts. It's the end of the world, and everyone is struggling painfully on the verge of death. They are actually making things worse and harming the people of my Huaxi country. Chapter 8:28. There are many things you don't know. After knowing the reason why Zhang Yi taught Yamada Masana a lesson, more than half of the people at the scene immediately changed their minds. Most Chinese people have simple ideas. They don't want to talk about too many big principles, but they know that revenge is for revenge and grievances are for grievances. Even Li Zhongyu and Zhang Weiwei couldn't say anything more. National hatred and family feuds are understandable. But Li Zhongyu still said to Zhang Yi, "I can understand your feelings, but Mr. Yamada is innocent. He helped us a lot on Yanlu Island. Can you let him go?" Seeing this, Zhu Yonk also stepped forward to persuade Zhang Yi. "Yes, you can't kill a group of people with one stick. It's not good to do so, and it will make people think you are narrow-minded." She came up to Zhang Yi, glanced at the people of Yanlu Group, and said to him, "What's more, there are so many foreigners and expatriates on this ship. If you do this, it will make them feel scared, and not conducive to unity. Soon Wanshi wiped her tears, touched her bulging cheeks, and glared at Zhang Yi, her eyes full of hatred and anger. If you dare to do anything to Mr. Yamada, I will never agree. Seeing so many people speaking for him, Yamada Masano's face showed a hopeful light. Everyone, thank you. Thank you very much. Zhang Yi sneered. Let him go. Why should I let him go? He walked over and pointed at Yamada Masano's head and asked, how much do you know about him? Soon Wanshi couldn't wait to say, Mr. Yamada is a good person. I can testify to this, and everyone in our group can testify to this. Li Zongyu also said to Zhang Yi, Mr. Yamada was really good to us when he was on the island. Haha, not bad, a really good one. Zhang Yi sneered and paced on the deck, looking down at Yamada Masano on the ground with his eyes full of amusement. This world is very strange. The more villains there are, the more they like to pretend to be kind people in front of others. I guess when you were in Neon, you must have often donated money to temples, or even donated to charities to help the poor. Right? Soon Wanshi looked at Zhang Yi in surprise, her eyes full of doubts. How do you know this? Mr. Yamada is a famous philanthropist. But she soon changed her tone. You know he is such a kind person, but you still did such an evil thing to him, which shows that you are really a heartless person. I advise you to turn back as soon as possible, apologize to Mr. Yamada, and give him treatment. Soon Wanshi covered her face with one hand and pointed at Zhang Yi stubbornly with the other hand, like a fighter for justice. Zhang Yi glanced at her coldly and scolded, You know shit. This scared Soon Wanshi and made her take several steps back. Zhang Yi continued to speak leisurely. Yamada Masano, I remember that you seem to have a name from Huashu country, Lu Jingnan. I felt familiar with this name when I first heard it. 5 years ago, you established Wayman Food Company, limited in Tianhai City, and the main food was pre-prepared dishes. At the beginning, your name was Lu Jingnan. Because you spoke fluent Mandarin, no one knew that you were actually from Japan. Your real name is Yamada Masano. Your company's main business is pre-prepared food. Through various channels, you get food ingredients that do not meet food safety requirements from overseas and make food and put it on the market. Zhang Yi paced and slowly talked about Yamada Masano's past. And Yamada Masano's face gradually turned pale. In the crowd, entrepreneur Ma Wenjing couldn't help but frown when he heard this, as if he thought of something. Zhang Yi continued, In 2047, about 4 years ago, you bribed your connections and let your food company's food enter campuses in many cities in Jiangnan. Later, because of a food poisoning incident, your company's food safety issues were exposed. People discovered that the raw materials used by your company, which claimed to be high-end imported ingredients, turned out to be garbage ingredients that other countries didn't want, or even expired ingredients. When people found out, you quickly escaped, moved the company, and fled back to Neon. That wave. You made at least tens of billions, right? Or tens of billions. I'm sorry. I'm just a small warehouse manager, and I don't really understand these things. Because my workplace is very close to your warehouse, I have always known what your company produces. The employees in your warehouse told me personally that even if those things were used to feed pigs, they were afraid that they would affect the health of the pigs, and they never eat them. Zhang Yi glanced down at him, his eyes full of disgust as if he was looking at a dirty, smelly pig. Let those teenagers eat the shoddy food produced by your company, which damages their health and even causes them to be hospitalized due to food poisoning. Does your conscience hurt? I don't think you have a conscience. It's just that, haha. Zhang Yi deliberately raised the decibel level and said loudly, Those who are damaged are the children of Huashu country. What does it have to do with you, the president of Neon? Yamada Masami's body trembled like Siv Bran, shaking violently. The others around him finally realized why Zhang Yi wanted to be so cruel to Yamada Masami as soon as he saw him. This kind of person really deserves to die. I remember that the news reported the food safety problem in Jiangnan at the beginning. It turned out that this bastard. You did it. A woman ran over excitedly and kicked Yamada Masami. So, you are the culprit. My son got food poisoning because of the food provided by your company. That's a high-end private school, and you actually infiltrated it. Go to hell. Go to hell, bastard. This time, no one at the scene dared to stand up to defend Yamada Masami. Che Haiching came over indignantly, kicked him a few times, pointed at him, and cursed. You bastard from Japan. You old horse, shake it. Ishii, I knew you were not a good guy a long time ago. You even pretended to be a good person to deceive us. Fortunately, our wise captain saw through your disguise and exposed your clumsy lies. Dirty and despicable bug. Use your life to apologize to those poor children you have harmed. Yamada Masami raised his head and cried bitterly. I deserve to die. I am not a human being. But I was forced to do this business. Even if I don't do it, there are still people who do it. And I only make a small profit. The big profit is taken by your own people. Please give me a way to live. I have reformed. I pray to the Buddha every day. I have also funded many welfare homes and nursing homes. Yamada Masami looked at everyone with pleading eyes, and everyone avoided him. This kind of person really deserves to die. Yamada Masami's heart sank, and suddenly he thought of Unwanted, the extremely kind little girl. So he crawled to Unwanted's feet, hugged her legs, and cried, Miss Sue, I have always regarded you as my daughter. You know, my daughter died young. From the first time I saw you, I have regarded you as my daughters. Chapter 8, 29 Ocean Turtle Milk. Unwanted couldn't bear it. She remembered how good Yamada Masahiro was to her on Yenlu Island. Because he was afraid that she would be hungry, he would give priority to her if he had any high-quality protein. So Unwanted stood in front of Yamada Masahiro, staring at Jang, and said, Anyone can make mistakes, but it is great to improve after making mistakes. Why can't we give him a chance? He is a very kind person now. You can't easily deprive him of his life. Zhang looked at her with a look of a retard. Are you sick? The saint's heart can reach this level, which is disgusting. I'm not kidding you. Unwanted stamped her feet in anger. She explained, I can prove this point. He is really very kind. When we were on Yenlu Island, we were often hungry at the beginning and had nothing to eat. He secretly went to find the returnees and squeezed turtle milk for me to drink. My body temperature was very low, so he hugged me to sleep at night to keep me warm. Do you think he is a bad person like this? Unwanted looked at everyone with her big eyes, with a firm expression on her face, making people clearly realize that she was not kidding. She believed very seriously that Yamada Masahiro was a good person. Zhang listened and suddenly felt something strange. What is turtle milk? Hey, do turtles have milk? Zhou Kier frowned. Whales do have milk, but turtles are oviparous animals, so they shouldn't have it. Lao Tian answered with certainty. How can that thing have milk? Unwanted blinked, snorted, and said proudly, You are so ignorant, right? There is a kind of ocean turtle that feeds its offspring with milk. She looked at Li Zhongyu. Teacher Li, didn't you catch a turtle? Tell him, do turtles have milk? Li Zhongyu's face looked a little ugly. The turtle thing is a secret he doesn't want to mention anymore. Zhu Yunk couldn't stand it anymore. Lisa, turtles don't have milk. There is no turtle in the world that can produce milk. Unwanted was angry. I really drank it. Zhang frowned at first, but then he suddenly figured out something. I know what she drank. Zhou Kur's eyes turned strange. It can't be that? But the smell is so obvious. Can't we really find it? It may work wonders after heating. Besides, she was so hungry at the time that she wanted to eat everything. But it is indeed high in protein. The eyes of the people around suddenly changed. They looked at Yamada Masami with disgust, especially the women who looked at him more like garbage. The perversion of Japanese people can be seen. Unwanted still didn't understand, and said proudly, You should all learn more about biology. Is there really turtle milk? Zhang Yi had a sly smile on his face, but he was unwilling to expose it in front of so many people, especially so many female compatriots. Anyway, everyone already knows about this matter, and Unwanted will naturally figure it out later. Now that the matter has been clarified, let's throw him into the sea. Yamada Masano's eyes widened with fear, and he shouted in horror. You can't do this. You can't do this to me. I don't want to die. I want to live. Lee sang, "You promised to take me back to land. Save me. Miss Sue, I love you the most. You can't watch me die." Zhang Yi waved his hand. "No one can speak now." "Stop, I won't let you do this." Soon Wanshi opened her arms and stood in front of the two crew members. How can you not explain it clearly? You should learn to be more philanthropic, instead of just using violence to solve everything." Zhang Yi finally lost his patience. "A stupid woman, even if you don't want to pay attention to her, she will come to pester you. It's really funny, you actually come to protect a second-hand dealer who makes poisonous food to harm children. Okay, since you protect him so much, from now on, I'll give you the kind of food from their company every day." In his space, there is still a part of the food collected from major shopping malls and supermarkets. The quality had already been bad, but Zhang Yi was reluctant to throw it away. He had planned to be kind and give it to the disaster victims one day. But he met a stubborn person. He took it out and threw it in the corner of the kitchen for a few nights. It would naturally swell. The kitchen is warm and humid, which is very suitable for the survival of microorganisms. Soon Wanshi gritted her teeth and plucked up the courage to say, "As long as you don't hurt Mr. Yamada, I will eat those things." "What's the problem? It won't kill people anyway," Zhang Yi said. "Some things won't kill people, but, well, isn't your biology very good? Then, do you understand that eating protein is similar to eating people?" Soon Wanshi frowned, thought for a moment, and then answered proudly, "You want to embarrass me with this kind of question? Of course, it's reproductive cells." Some people in the crowd couldn't help laughing and covered their mouths with their hands. They were very uncomfortable, but they didn't dare to laugh out loud because the occasion was very serious. This made Soon Wan. She felt puzzled. "What are you laughing at? Do you lack common sense in biology?" Zhu Yang couldn't bear it any longer. She was really suffering from stupidity and couldn't bear to see this silly goose continue to make a fool of itself. "Say less." Soon Wanshi begged. "Sister, you must help me." Zhu Yang leaned close to her ear and said with some difficulty, "The turtle milk you drank before was actually—" The deck suddenly became quiet. Only Zhu Yang whispered in Soon Wanshi's ear, and her expression gradually became stunned, numb, and dull. After listening to Zhu Yang's words, her eyes twitched. Then she turned her head mechanically and looked at Zhu Yang. "Alice, you must be kidding me, right? Really, this is too outrageous. How could I believe it?" Zhu Yang gave her a sad expression. Soon Wanshi's pupils suddenly shrank, and then she rushed to a woman next to her like crazy, shaking her shoulders and shouting, "This must be fake, right? There really is ocean turtle milk, right?" She confirmed again and again, but the woman did not give her the answer she wanted. "Maybe it's bird eggs." "Yes, seabird egg liquid," the woman explained helplessly. "But this statement is not true at all. At that temperature, the bird eggs will be frozen in a short time." Bayamo couldn't help but come over and said, "Think about it on the bright side, Miss Lisa. At least, it's still very nutritious, right?" Soon Wanshi couldn't deceive herself anymore. She saw the mockery in the eyes of everyone around her. "No," she screamed, covered her face, and rushed into the cabin. Zhang Yi shrugged. "I think what the foreigner said makes sense. At least he just wants you to eat it." Chapter 830. After all, I am not a devil. Soon Wanshi was directly broken by Yamada Masana's tricks. Li Zongyu shook his head helplessly. When he was on the island, he noticed that Yamada Masana had touched many women in the group. But he was just an old man in his 50s or 60s, and he didn't have the courage to really do anything. So he could only secretly use some dirty means to satisfy his perverted desires. Zhou Kur covered her mouth, feeling a little nauseous. She looked at the old perverted Japanese with extreme disgust. Zhang Yi didn't think so. When people are extremely hungry, they will eat anything. When he was in Yuelu community before, he even saw a neighbor eating his own excrement. When people are extremely hungry, there is no sense of propriety, righteousness, and shame. The dark side of their hearts will be completely released, which is more perverted and terrifying than a beast. Zhang Yi signaled two crew members to take action. The two immediately helped Yamada Masana, who was like a dead dog, and dragged him to the railing. This time, no matter how Yamada Masana cried and begged for mercy with feces and urine flowing, no one sympathized with him at all. Only in the rock flow. By Mo and others who were watching this scene were greatly shocked. By Mo's face was pale and his body was shaking. Through Yamada Masami, he seemed to see his miserable appearance of being thrown into the sea and then frozen into an ice block. For a moment, he was so frightened that he fainted. No, let me go. Yamada Masami's begging for mercy was useless. He was thrown down from a height of dozens of meters. Only a scream and a faint sound of water splashing were heard. The old pervert struggled in the water for less than a few seconds and was frozen into an ice lump by the sea water of dozens of degrees below zero. Heightened walked to the edge of the ship's side and cursed Yamada Masami loudly. This kind of cheap thing deserves to die. Long live Mr. Jang. You are the messenger of justice. Thank you very much for discovering this dirty rat shit for us. I, Heiching, swear here that I will obey any of your orders unconditionally. Heiching knelt down and licked Zhang Yi crazily. Not literally. He knelt down in front of Zhang Yi and kissed Zhang Yi's feet. Zhang Yi frowned and immediately took a few steps back. My shoes are very expensive. What do you want to do? Ah, it's my fault. I shouldn't have stained your precious shoes with my dirty saliva. Heiching knelt on the ground and apologized very devoutly. Everyone can see that Heiching is really scared. He is shaking his tail and begging for mercy, using this way to pray for Zhang Yi's mercy and avoid becoming the second Yamada Masano. Because Heiching himself is not a good thing. What he did in Silla is dozens of times more disgusting than the mere businessman Yamada Masano. Zhang Yi hates this kind of person. But I have to admit that sometimes this kind of garbage is very useful. He lowered his head with a smile, his eyes slightly moved up, and swept across everyone on the boat. This made the passengers shrink their bodies, feeling as if a knife had been cut through them. If you want to show your loyalty to me, then prove it to me with facts. Tell me, are there any other garbage on this ship? Especially the Japanese. Find them all. Heiching heard this, and his eyes suddenly became fierce. I know there are 2 Japanese people there. He got up from the ground and rushed towards the crowd fiercely. Suddenly, a woman and a young man ran back in fear. Heiching grabbed the woman and said to Zhang Yi as if to seek credit, she is Yamada Masano's ex-wife, and she is not a good person either. The woman begged, I divorced him 3 years ago. I also immigrated there. He has nothing to do with me anymore. The other young man was also caught by the crew and sent to Zhang Yi. Zhang Yi glanced at the woman and did not speak. Instead, he looked at the panicked young man. What's her name? The young man trembled and spoke. This time, there was indeed a hint of Japanese flavor. Zhang Yi remembered that this guy never spoke when he was there. It's none of my business. I have never harmed anyone from Huashu country. It has nothing to do with me. Zhu Yonk walked over quickly. Zhang Yi, that's enough. Enough, right? Zhang Yi looked at her and asked back. Zhu Yonk was a little scared by Zhang Yi's eyes and didn't know how to reply for a moment. Zhang Yi smiled. Lao Tian came over and asked Zhang Yi how to deal with them. Lao Tian's eyes asked Zhang Yi whether he should beat them up first. Zhang Yi said, forget it, I'm not a demon. He looked at the woman and the young man and said lightly, don't worry, I won't kill you. I, Zhang Yi, am not an unreasonable executioner. The 2 of them breathed a sigh of relief and thanked him repeatedly. Zhang Yi said, it's just that I won't kill you, but I have no reason to save you. When I knew that my ship would save the lives of 2 Japanese people, I felt that it was not necessary to save them. It's a pity that I am too kind-hearted and I can't bear to kill ordinary people. He pointed at the 2 people in front of him. So, I won't kill you. I can give you a lifeboat, you can get off the boat and leave. If you are lucky, you will encounter land after drifting along the ocean current for about half a year. The faces of the women and young men who had some hope suddenly changed. What's the difference between this and letting them die? Not to mention being on the ocean, Even if they encounter an island, they can't live long. As long as they leave the gene phone, they will die. The two begged bitterly. The other passengers were also speechless by Zhang Yi's operation. Xia Yunfan whispered, "Why pretend to be a good person? Isn't this killing people? It's unnecessary." Others had similar ideas and felt that Zhang Yi was both a hypocrite. Zhu Yang directly expressed his thoughts. "Aren't you just letting them die?" Zhang Yi nodded, "Yes. What else do you think?" "You?" Zhu Yang and the others were speechless. Zhang Yi said, "Why must people do things meaningfully? Is it possible that they do it just to make themselves happy?" Zhang Yi did everything he did all his life, so why should he explain to others? He didn't kill the two Japanese people himself because he didn't like to attack people who didn't provoke him. But he wouldn't save these two people either. So this matter was left to God to decide. It was that simple. And what did the life and death of the two have to do with him, Zhang Yi? He was not the father of these two people. They should be grateful to me because there is still a 1 in a billion chance of survival if they drift. If they refuse to leave, I will really do it. Che Haicheng's excited voice sounded next to him. He raised his hands and shouted, "Long live Mr. Zhang. You are so gentle to these two Japanese people. You are really a rare, kind person in the world, a godlike figure. Thanks for staying with this channel. I really appreciate your support. I will try my best to keep the content updated, and will bring more interesting stories."